Hi, I wanted to pick up on something that I heard in the discussion board, or that I read in the discussion board. A few of you were talking about the need for forward-thinking people in our communities when it comes to doing strategic work or working on a strategic plan. And you're right. I mean, the strategy takes us into the future. So yeah, we do need forward-thinking people. So that made me think about an insight that my colleagues at Purdue and I have gained, and from really an unusual place. So a few months ago, we worked on a project with Yo-Yo Ma. So if you don't know who Yo-Yo is, Google him. He's a virtuoso cellist. By most people's definition, the greatest cellist alive today. And Yo-Yo was drawn to the work that we do at Purdue around strategy, and we were, of course, drawn to Yo-Yo because he's Yo-Yo. But here's where the interesting connection was made. So a virtuoso musician like Yo-Yo has this sort of cognitive ability that most of us don't have, and it's this ability to do both feed forward and feedback thinking. So if you think about a musician like Yo-Yo, they're making these infinitesimal adjustments to their music as they're playing. So their mind and their ears is hearing what they just played and anticipating what they're going to play next, and they change the pressure of the bow or the position of the bow on the strings, and the way in which their fingers are held, and all these dynamics to really give shape to that music. And that's part of what makes it beautiful and makes people like Yo-Yo exceptional. But it's not just musicians. We can see this in MRIs and other sorts of elite performers. Race car drivers, for instance. You think about a race car driver, they've got to do the same thing. They've got to constantly be toggling back and forth between what's ahead, what's behind, what's ahead, what's behind. So this notion of feed forward and feedback thinking is really, really important, and it's especially important when you're in the strategy development process. So, of course, there's the ability to see further than just those infinitesimal moments. In fact, each of us, according to some psychological theory that we've looked into, is primarily feed forward thinking or feedback thinking. So that means that for each of us, we are mostly informed to do today by what we think about in either the future or the past. So if you are feed forward thinking, you're a person who's thinking about tomorrow, thinking about what's ahead, and that informs how you act today. There are others of us who are primarily feedback thinking. We're looking at past performance and we're making modest adjustments to what we do today based on that past feedback. So the insight here is that since that long range feed forward and feedback thinking doesn't really exist in any one person's mind, you need cognitive diversity in a team of people or a group of people who are helping give shape to your strategy. And part of that cognitive diversity comes in people who are feed forward thinking and people who are feedback thinking. So yes, we need feed forward thinking people engaged in our strategy, but we also need feedback thinking people engaged in our strategy. But that's really hard. When we see conflicts, when we see butting of heads, it's often that is causing the conflict. We literally are looking at this thing we're working on right now and coming about at it from completely different perspectives. I decided to film this video in black and white because that's what it seems like. I see black, you see white. I try to convince you that everything is white. You're trying to convince me that everything is black, and never the twain shall meet. It's like those memes that were pretty popular about a year ago. You heard the voice, and one person heard Yanni and the other person heard Laurel, or that dress where one person saw it as gold and another person saw it as blue. It's like that. There's this impasse. So So it's easier said than done. Bring people to the table who are both feed-forward thinking and feedback thinking. So it's not enough. You also need the tools and the disciplines to help them collaborate with one another, to help them both contribute to the development and the execution of the strategy. And those are some of the insights that we're getting in our course. Some of those insights, however, are also embedded in this book. So a couple of you have picked up on this, that my colleagues and I published a book just recently in May, actually, called Strategic Doing. And it takes this notion, one of many notions, and that informs our work on strategy, of feed forward and feedback thinking. And Yo-Yo Ma actually wrote the foreword to this book. So I wanted to read to you something that Yo-Yo said. So here's his insights. So he's talking about the approach to strategy that we talk about this book, but he says, this is precisely what we need at this moment. In this fast-changing world, filled with disruption, with institutions not equipped to absorb or deal with the pace of change, we need a way of thinking and acting. We need an agile approach to strategy that makes collaboration take place at the necessary speed to do the social good that we need to have. So I just wanted to share that insight. If you're interested in more in this notion of feedback and feed forward types of thinking, reach out to me. We have a partner in the Netherlands called Human Insight that does some remarkable work in helping assess us as individuals as to whether we are more feed forward focused or feedback focused. And we've used that tool in groups working on strategy to help them see, oh, we do think differently, and you know what, that's a good thing. So it can help them value their differences and appreciate that cognitive diversity that they have. And that's the first step toward being able to kind of harness the insights from both of those and create something together to help a community, an organization, or a region move forward.